Go ahead.
Welcome to my desk. Wonderful happy hour we're having today. We're making a few select drinks. A nice classic margarita, all fresh ingredients. You call it a top shelf, but it's just better spirits, better taste. We'll also be making a bee's knees, classic cocktail. Sum it up in a few words, it's a honey lemonade with gin. And then a orange creamsicle. If you remember the old popsicles, I believe they're still around, orange with whipped cream in the middle or ice cream in the middle. We'll be making a cocktail that tastes just like that with a little egg white. All delicious, all different contrasts in citrus juices, whether it be tart with the margarita, medium range with the bee's knees, up to a little sweeter with the orange creamsicle. We'll be starting off with the margarita. I'm sure most of us are in Texas, so we love the good margarita, right? Nobody's responding?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's all the way.
All right. So what I'm doing now, instead of using lime juice, I'm using bitters. I have a lot of bitters on my shelf. So I'm using orange bitters. And again, making this a top shelf margarita. So want to really bring out all the flavors. And I'm rolling the glass around the salt. That's why I like a wide open surface. And just get a little bit of salt on that rim. I'm not sure if you can see that. Always want to rim your glass first. Just getting stuff out of the way. Always want to rim the glass first. That way it has time to set for just a little bit. Then whenever you're making a cocktail, always add in your liquor last, your spirits last. So for this one, the classic margarita, we already have the salted rim. It's going to be 1.5 ounces of a Blanco tequila, a white tequila. You could use mezcal. You could use anything you want. I like a Blanco tequila for this recipe in particular. We'll also be using a triple sec, just a nicer triple sec rather than the $5 one or whatever. Nothing too special about that. Also, 2 ounces of lime juice, 1/4 ounce of the agave syrup. I have a little nectar here. It's going to be a little bit stronger. I like mine a little bit sweeter. You could go a little bit less if you're using nectar. You could go no agave at all if you like it tart. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our lime juice in first. Again, it's 2 ounces. We grab our jigger, measure out 2 ounces of lime juice. About 1/4 ounce of agave. Poured a little too much in the jigger, that's why it's left behind. And just one of my secrets, why I used orange bitters, I like to add just a touch of orange juice to cut down that acidity in the lime juice. Now we're going to mix our spirits, 1.5 ounces of the tequila. One ounce. I'm using Cointreau. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to use Cointreau to float. That's right, because it's 1 ounce of triple sec. We're doing a top shelf. So add a few extra special ingredients. I had just enough ice to cover that cocktail up. Cover the cocktail. Shake it for about 15 seconds. Get our strainer ready. Even though it's in a martini glass, I'm going to add just a little bit of ice. A few big cubes, a few small cubes, just to keep the margarita cold. Strain it directly in. Grab a little lime wedge, put it right on top, And the little floater, that's right, I'm sorry. And use the back of the spoon when you're floating, or anytime you want to separate alcohols or mixers. All it's going to do is break the surface tension, or stop it from breaking the surface tension. At about a quarter ounce, a little less. If you get heavy-handed, hey, we're in quarantine, why not? So a nice top shelf classic margarita. Cheers. You see what they're saying?
Cheers.
Cheers. That looks so good.
Yes. Can I
So
ask
who else is drinking with me?
What do you say?
who else is drinking with him?
Thank you.
Some water.
Water. Oh my gosh. It's
But we'll make
afternoon.
the recipes and then make them later.
Yeah, I got to know what I'm doing first.
I do have a question, Chris.
Yeah.
Why do you need to let the salt on the rim sit? Like, what
Because if you make the cocktail and then have your glass and you're doing up your glass, one, the ice is melting in your cocktail, so you're getting more dilution. You're not bringing out the flavors that you're really looking for. If you add ice to a cocktail, you want the dilution to happen after you mix it and to drink it. So it also sticks on the rim a lot better. If I was just to do it, make the cocktail, let it sit, do the salt rim, and then pour the cocktail in, the salt will almost fall off. What I'm doing with the 45 seconds, minute, whatever, to make the cocktail is letting the salt harden on the rim of the glass.
great, thanks.
It adheres a little bit better. Whether you're using the lime juice or orange bitters like I used. And I just use a classic Angostura orange bitters. You can use any orange bitter. What it does is bring out the orange flavor. When you add the orange juice, it just cuts the acid in the lime juice. You can't really taste it. You're gonna taste more triple sec, which is orange flavored liqueur. And then when you top it with like a Cointreau or a Grand Marnier, another orange flavored liqueur, you're really bringing out that orange. Does anybody else have any other questions? I would say sip on your cocktails, but nobody's making any.
Chris, is that your house?
Yes.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's goals right there.
Believe it or not, from what I do, 80% of this is tips. I get tipped in alcohol rather than cash.
Very cool.
I don't mind. And talking with alcohol reps, liquor reps, I get so many donations from them, whether try to use their product to create a new cocktail and give them the cocktail and stuff like that. Which there's a lot of those bar programs going on right now with Roxor, Bombay Sapphire, Bacardi, a lot of low-key liquor companies are offering bartenders a chance to enter a competition now to sit at home and make a cocktail using what they have at home. And being a bartender, I'm around alcohol all the time. Don't really like to go home and just sit back and drink. So I'm more of a collector.
What's the most unique / expensive bottle on the wall, do you think?
I have a couple that you can't get anymore.
Oh.
Root liqueur. It's made from sarsaparilla root. You can make basically like a adult root beers out of it. I don't know why it didn't take off. This was a recent discontinue. Probably in the last 5 years, they discontinued this, and they only made it for 3 years. I have some amarettas made in Italy from the 60s. This wild turkey is the 70s.
Oh, wow.
I have, I'm not sure if you can see right here, but I have 2 different Southern Comforts. One's a modern one, one's from the 80s. Gordon's gin from the 60s. I have a leather bottle from Italy. So it varies. I have broken a few very rare bottles. Unfortunately, the liquor wasn't expensive, but the type of bottle was expensive. It was a signature bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most expensive bottle, I have a cognac given to me as a gift for doing Christmas parties for over 10 years. It was $1,000. There's an ounce left of it. I took some back I was working at Whistle Bridges, took some there for New Year's, and we all did a shot.
Oh, nice.
And it is probably the smoothest cognac I've ever had in my life. And
That's
I've had some good cognacs, some expensive, some more expensive than that, but that is probably the smoothest.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, ready to move on to another classic cocktail. We have our utensils clean. 1 second. So this one of these, like I said, it's honey lemonade with gin. So if you're not in the mood to drink, you could still make this cocktail. And I'm making a basic version today, but I love mine with lots of basil. They have them on menus sometimes with basil. I always ask for extra basil. I like that earthy taste in there. You could do it with rosemary. Almost any herb you find that will go good with the chicken will go good with a bee's knees. And shellfish, believe it or not, 'cause shellfish and chicken very close together. Get my stuff over here. So the bee's knees, gin-based cocktail. Lemon, honey, gin. Very simple. So always add your spirits in last. So with this one, it's a 3/4 ounce of lemon. And this is fresh pressed lemon juice. 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. You get a little more, a little less, depending on how sweet you like it. And 2 ounces of gin with this one. Put the ice in here. That's just enough ice to cover the liquids. And all I'm doing there is finding not the closest gap, but probably a 1/4 inch away from it and pushing the tin down to that spot. And that will loosen it up. And do it both sides. If you try to go around, it's just going to go in a circle. This cocktail is double strained. Double strain just means I have this wonderful spring strainer on it. And a mesh strainer to filter out all the pulp from that fresh pressed lemon juice. All I'm doing here is hitting the mesh strainer to get out the last of the liquid. And if I was to do basil, I would have a little jar of honey here. I could stick the little piece of basil up. But traditional, fresh lemon zest. And I peeled this beforehand. I was running out of lemons. Not a problem. But give it a little twist above it. Run it around the rim of the glass. Drop it right in the center. It's going to float just under the top of the liquid. But there you go. Little yellow, dark brown, yellow cocktail. Cheers. It's my favorite, by the way.
It
Yeah.
looks so good.
Bee's Knees is my favorite too.
Oh, have you tried it with basil before?
I haven't. I've only done rosemary.
Oh, rosemary's good. I like basil. It's a little bit earthy, where rosemary's a little more floral.
Mm-hmm. What's your recipe for honey syrup?
Honey syrup, it's just like a typical simple syrup. It's half honey, half syrup. All right, yeah, half honey, half water. I've had a few too many of these already.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And talk about syrups, you have many varieties. You have everything from a gunpowder tea syrup, which gunpowder tea is just a strong tea, typically a black tea. You make a syrup out of it, so you could use that in this cocktail also instead of the honey. And you're going to get a lemon tea cocktail. Delicious on its own. It's not a bee's knees. You can make rock candy syrup and not let it harden to make rock candy over the 2-3 months it takes. Use that in cocktails for adding just a little bit of syrup, but still getting that sweetness there. And the reason why you want to add a little bit of sweetness instead of a 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce, and just a few drops for rock candy syrup, you want your cocktails typically to be 5 ounces or less. That's what most glasses turn out to be. Any other questions on this cocktail? Or any other cocktails?
I have another question about the margarita.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, what kind of tequila did you use?
With this one, I used a De Boll, Maestro De Boll. When I bought this bottle, believe it or not, it was about $100. Now it's about 60 to 70. It wasn't selling. It tastes like sugar water. I could put this outside in Texas on a 107-degree day. It's going to get warm and not get that alcohol burn. It's going to taste just like sugar water.
Wow.
And since I was making a top shelf margarita, I wanted to bring in some good ingredients for it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's typically a sipping tequila.
I thought that there were different. I don't really know anything about tequilas, but there's like the darker, like the gold versus the silver.
This is a Blanco right here, or a silver.
Okay.
Blanco, any Spanish, it's white. They have reposados, añejos.
And so for a margarita, would you typically recommend like a silver or?
For a classic, it's silver, but it really depends on what you're going for. If the darker the tequila from gold to dark brown, the more smoke you're going to get. If you want even more smoke, you can go with a mezcal and make a smoked salt to put on the rim. And the bottle I was just holding up was a reposado. It's a gold tequila.
Cool.
But I'm not a huge tequila fan. I love Maestro de Boll. I love how smooth it is, and I have none of that high school memories, basically, that alcohol burn, the strong agave aftertaste. This is just like sweet water.
Awesome.
Ready to move on to the next cocktail? We're speeding right along. Sorry, just getting a little set up real quick.
This one I'm really excited about. Sounds
It's a
like.
little sweeter cocktail, but it's with moonshine, which makes it a little dangerous too.
Ooh.
I feel like
You remember the what's that?
nothing. I was just gonna say I feel like Amy would really like this one because last time she was watching your Instagram live video and she was like, "A sweet cocktail, make a sweet cocktail." So
I saw that afterwards. Yeah, and then I said old fashioned. She jumped right in. Yeah, old fashioned sounds good. I wish I would have seen that sweet cocktail.
no, that she'll be appreciative of this one for sure.
Oh yeah, and if you remember the dreamsicles or creamsicles that I think you can still get them. I'm not sure. This tastes just like it. It's going to have orange with a nice creamy texture. That is why we're using egg white to help with the cream. And don't be scared of egg white in a cocktail. With the acid from the citrus juice, whether it even be something as simple as orange juice, you're cutting down most parasites in it. Most people can smell the egg is bad before they make the drink, so they'll know ahead of time. And if you're in a restaurant, they try to use fresh ingredients. But with this one, it will be 1 egg white, also 1 ounce of moonshine, 1 ounce of whipped vodka. You can use vanilla vodka if you wish. I like the whipped a little bit more. It tastes a little creamier. 2 ounces of orange juice, 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. That's a cocktail. With this one, I like to add the egg white in first. And to strain it, just toss the egg back and forth. If you don't get it all in there, it's okay. So the reason why I add the egg white, to get that foam that I'm looking for from this drink. I add just a hint of ice in there. I start aerating the egg whites. You can't see it, but that's already starting to get a little foamy like a meringue, which is perfect. I'm gonna add my 2 ounces of orange juice. Quarter ounce of simple syrup. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. Yeah, 1/4 ounce simple syrup. 1 ounce of the whipped. And the reason why I add my spirits in last, in case I make a mistake, I'm only throwing out egg white, orange juice, and syrup, which comes out to, in a restaurant, 15 cents, if that, 10 cents. 1 ounce of the moonshine. And you can use a vodka for this. I just love a nice moonshine cocktail. Add more ice. And a little bit more than normal, just to make sure you had the aeration with that egg white. Again, moving it back and forth through about a 1/4 inch gap right there, just to separate it, then pulling it up. This one again, double strain to get the orange juice pulp out in case you have an egg shell in there or anything. Double strain it. And if any small particles of ice fall through, because you did shake this one a lot harder, a little more vigorously to get that egg white to really aerate. Again, tap the mesh strainer, sorry. And you are done. Now, if you want to get a little fancy, you grab an orange bitter, but use a medicine dropper instead of the actual container it comes in. Put drops right down the center or in a square pattern or any pattern you'd like. I normally like a bamboo skewer, but I couldn't find one offhand, so I'm using the pick of my tongs. And just draw a straight line down the middle, and you get a heart. I wasted some cocktail there, but it's all right. I think I showed you that last time, if you tuned into the last Instagram live feed. And again, this tastes just like an orange creamsicle popsicle.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Sounds so good.
I need one now.
Yeah. On a warmer day like today, this is perfect. Like I said, the only problem is you're using moonshine. It's gonna get dangerous once you get on your third one.
But you can hit your macros because you put the egg white in.
Yes.
Your protein.
Out of the bunch, I have a sweet tooth. I mean, I love the bee's knees. Hot day, it's a little warm in here with all the lights I have going on. This one's a little bit better.
I can't wait to make these.
Yeah, I'm excited.
After all your videos, I feel like I can't wait to host people to like make some of these drinks and show off a little bit.
And I mean, when everything gets going, I'm sure I'll be teaching mixology classes. I know people want to stay apart.
Yeah.
But alcohol is going to bring everybody together. You're not going to stay out of a bar. You're not going to stay away from alcohol and that. So I believe I'll still keep teaching the mixology classes and all the common desk, and you'll have even more knowledge.
Yum.
Well,
And I normally try to do a party cocktail. I'm staying away from those because I can't drink 5 gallons worth of alcohol or worth of a cocktail in a week.
Yeah.
So trying to keep it a little simpler, but for those classes, I teach sangrias, different punches, and they're wonderful. Has any, hey gosh, bartend? I'm trying to teach my dog a new trick. Bartend, up. Come here. Get around. Bartend?
Oh,
Oh, so cute.
Little dude.
All right, you have a new bartender now.
Oh my gosh. He's so cute.
So
What's our bartender's name?
ganache. The reason why I had a cupcake company that all my cupcakes were based off of cocktails and everything. A few of them had a chocolate ganache, most of them being a Jameson ganache or something like that for
yeah.
Irish carbon cupcake or a old-fashioned cupcake. I was using Jameson chocolate ganache. So got him about that time, and he looked like a piece of chocolate.
Yum.
How old is he?
He turned 5 in December.
Nice.
He's just starting to get his white and gray hairs.
Oh. Well, he has a very sweet face.
Oh my gosh, precious. He gets anything he wants, unfortunately.
They always do.
Yes.
Chris, what's your favorite like mezcal cocktail to make at home?
Like a raspberry margarita, but a little bit heavier on the raspberry.
Okay.
So I'll make a raspberry syrup, and then I'll muddle some raspberries also to shake with it. Add just, instead of 2 ounces of lime juice, maybe like an ounce. And then shake all that together, strain majority of it. I want a little bit of particles in there just for the extra raspberry flavor. And a salt rim with that one is delicious. A smoked salt rim.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. What's your mezcal of choice?
I usually just go with Ilegal because it's easy. But yeah.
You like heavy smoke, light smoke? Because mezcal is so different with all of them.
Yeah, I honestly like all of them. I tend to lean towards the smokier side.
Okay.
So yeah. I usually just sip on it, but occasionally I like it in a cocktail.
If you haven't tried Mestivo, the brand type is Jovine. Delicious. Total Wine, I think, is carrying it now. It's a product directly out of Mexico. Not full heavy smoke, but a little heavier than moderate. Delicious in most cocktails. If you're drinking it straight, a little bit smoky, maybe a little too much, but like I said, in cocktails, this is my go-to.
Awesome. I'm gonna write that down and look for it.
And it's MESTIZO.
Great.
Right,
Thanks.
Yep. Has anybody joined that's drinking, or is everybody still drinking water?
I told you my story. I'm sticking with water.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it.
I'll be joining that party very, very shortly.
Oh, let's see.
Well, does anyone have any last questions for Chris? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, but we can still hang out for a little bit. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
You're welcome. And stay tuned. We will be learning something else.
Oh, hey.